everybody, and welcome to the return of the ActionFeatures.net Comics Weekend Reviews. That's what it was called, right?
Probably.
Yeah. We stopped doing these for a while because Blaze had a lot of school stuff to do and was kind of falling behind in the comics. We were like, you know what, just take a break until summer comes around again. But summer's around again, and hopefully we'll be able to stick to this to a weekly format, like in the weekend. But we'll see how it goes.
Right.
We've also trimmed back a lot over those few months where we were like having to take some breaks on a lot of issues. So as we go along, you'll catch up on which Marvel books we stuck with, which Marvel books we dropped, which indie books we stuck with, which indie books we dropped, and which DC books we're now trying to pick up. Because that was one of the things about the reviews when we started up was everybody's like, hey, how come you're not doing DC books? How come you're not doing DC books? And we both like DC characters. We both like Batman and Superman a lot. And so we want to buy DC books. We're just not big fans of the New 52 idea. There are two books that DC is doing that is not sort of in 52 continuity, and that's Legends of the Dark Knight and Adventures of Superman, which are just like reprints of the digital comics. So I started with those. I've been picking up those. There's none in this stack this week, but this past week a couple of events happened, and it caused us to pick some things up. This video is going to cover releases for, let me look at my little calendar thing, for actually 2 weeks, because last Wednesday we only got one book, so it was kind of like a silly idea to do a video review for one book, especially when the book isn't that good. So this video is covering releases that we picked up from June 19th, 2013 and June 12th, 2013, those 2 weeks in a row. We'll start with the June 12th books, and then we'll get on to the one June 19th book. So,
I don't have any Marvel books in the stack.
no, you don't, because you have to get caught up in Thor.
And there is a New 52 book that I am going to give a chance when it comes out.
What's that?
It's that Superman Batman thing for the
that's next week? Superman Batman?
Yeah, I want to...
I'll get it. Alright, so this is one of the New 52 books we picked up, for all those people who asked us to pick up New 52 books. Batman issue 21, which is the beginning of the 0 Year storyline from Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, I think it is. When they first announced this, Scott Snyder was talking about how it's not going to replace Year One, and oh, this isn't going to be Year One. This is kind of before that, and oh, don't try to think that we're rewriting Year One and all this different stuff. So when I heard about all that, I was like, you know, I really don't kind of like the idea of mucking with Year One. I'm not a big fan of that since I really like Year One.
How can it be before Year One, though?
I don't know. I guess because it's 0 Year. I have no idea. I don't really remember the interview that well. But I do remember him touching on the fact that he was saying it doesn't erase Year One or something like that, or replace Year One. I don't know. So I thought that maybe when I read this that it would somehow fit into Year One somehow. But again, this is New 52 Batman, so it's not like our Batman. So going into it, we had to think about that, okay, this isn't our Batman, and we can't think of this as our Batman. This is like a different take, or an Elseworlds type of thing, that we need to think of this as something separate. So we both read this one. Blaze, you want to give your thoughts first?
Yes.
Okay.
I had to read it first. I read it 2 times today. I read it once before you told me that you should think of it as something else, so I was like, this book is horrible, but then you said you might want to think of it as something else. I was like, okay, if I was a different type of Batman fan, this wouldn't be horrible. Yeah. If I was a different type of Batman fan.
I agree. I wouldn't say I was a fan of this book.
No, but if I was a different type of Batman fan.
Yeah. The things that I can say about it is I did like the art. I thought the art was pretty nice. I liked him back when he was on Spawn a long time ago. The things I didn't like are some of the same things you didn't like. I kind of don't like the whole... There's a sequence where Batman flips the bird to some criminals, and they put a censored block over it. And it just felt very unnecessary in the book. The way he talks to Alfred is kind of weird.
I was going to cover that, yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of strange.
Alfred, shut up, call me Bruce.
Yeah, it was very strange. And it starts off where it's 6 years ago, so I guess Batman's only been... I don't know a lot about the New 52 continuity to the point where I'd call myself an expert. I had heard that Batman had only been Batman for 6 years in New 52 continuity, but at the same time he has Damian Wayne, that's his son, who's older than 6. So I'm not sure how Batman that's been only around for 6 years has a Robin that's older than 6 years old that's his son. That didn't make any sense to me. But this starts off with saying Gotham City 6 years ago, right when he starts out.
I don't like the suit.
Well, I don't know what's going on with the suit. I did like one thing about the suit.
What?
He's got purple gloves. And in Batman's first appearance, he has purple gloves. Yeah, Detective 27, he's got purple gloves. I did like that a lot. I thought that was a nice nod to Detective 27. and then it jumps to 5 months earlier than that 6 years. So it kind of like does a little jump in time, and it's got this Red Hood gang that Bruce has got to rescue these guys from.
Right, so,
and he's saying he's just come back from being gone, I guess, on his training or whatever.
right.
You don't get good confirmation of that. If I were to read this, not knowing anything about New 52, and having maybe read Year 1 back in the past, and then reading this, I would be super confused. Because this does not jive with Year 1 at all.
Well, there is a main Batman villain later.
There is, yeah, we don't want to say who it is.
Right, I'm not.
There is a main Batman villain at the end of the book. The appearance of the giant pennies in this book, I thought that was kind of neat.
I
He has this whole.
I don't see how that fit in anyway.
Yeah, it's going to be. They're going to have to make it. I guess this is the New 52 version of the giant penny. So I guess they're going to make that work in there somehow, and how he'll have it in the cave or whatever. He has this whole interaction with his uncle, which is cool. I didn't like the flashback with him and his dad.
I don't like how his dad's like a mechanic or a doctor.
He's a doctor, but he's a mechanic for fun, and he's got an R symbol hat on, which again, this could be New 52 stuff that we just don't know about.
I was thinking, why is he wearing a Robin hat?
Robin hat? Yeah, there must be something to that. I don't know. And then there's appearance of a villain at the end. I do like the version of this villain, which we're not going to say who it is. It kind of reminds me of something else from something else. And I don't want to say what it is.
And
we'll say it next week. You know exactly what I'm talking about, but we're not going to say what it is. And then there's one quick little, I don't know if this is a usual thing for New 52 Batman books, but there's a little snippet at the end that's like a little mini story about, I guess, how Bruce learned to do different things. And it's him learning to drive a car fast. And I actually enjoyed that more than I enjoyed the book, the regular book. The whole Batman learning how to race car drive, basically, or street racing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a 5-page story of how he learns how to do that, and it kind of wraps up really quick.
I wasn't a huge fan of that, really.
Really? You weren't? You didn't like that?
I like the grappling hook part. That reminded me of some stuff.
That's cool. I don't know. I'll probably check out another issue, but this, like I said, this isn't my Batman. And it has to be a really compelling, good story for me to enjoy, like an Elseworlds Tale of Batman.
I'm probably going to drop this and the other book to read the combination between
the Batman
two
Superman.
heroes. Yeah, I'm going to drop those.
Well, that's cool. Well,
it's still a New 52 book.
Yeah, so. We'll still check it out. I may give this one another shot just to give it a try, but I'm not impressed so far.
I'll read your show.
Yeah, you can just borrow mine and check it out. But so far, not impressed. If that's what the New 52 has to offer for Batman. Shadow issue 14. This is a book I've still consistently picked up since the beginning. I feel it has gotten better and better since Garth Ennis has not been on the book. It's really just kind of cool, pulpy tales of the Shadow now, fighting injustice and criminals and stuff like that. The issue before this introduced this character called the Light, I think it is, who's basically this lady who is killing off bad guys. Like, she has this blinding light. She's a character. I think she's dressed as a nun, if I'm not mistaken. And so the first part of the book fills in kind of sort of her origin a little bit. You don't get a lot going on. Right. Shadow confronts her, and she kills somebody who he thinks is innocent. And so that whole thing is him now going to have to track her down because he thinks she's murdering innocents or whatever. I really like this book. The art's a little bit muddled. I don't know who's doing the art on this story arc. Giovanni Timpano, I guess. Are you okay there, bud?
Yeah, I'm alright.
Okay. It's written by Chris Robertson. I thoroughly enjoy Shadow every time it comes out since Ennis is off the book. So, again, another good issue.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Would this be appropriate for kids, that book?
You know, it might. I think for maybe your age group it would be. You okay?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure about younger than you. I think that maybe you're right at the age where the Shadow would be okay.
Okay.
This next book is something we both picked up. You have this cover, I have this cover. This is the new Superman Unchained book from Jim Lee and Scott Snyder, who also wrote that Batman book that we checked out. This is just kind of a new Superman book that started up with Jim Lee doing the art, which is the big draw of the book, is that Jim Lee's doing it.
Who's Jim Lee?
He's a pretty famous artist. He did Batman Hush, Wildcats, X-Men back in the day. He's a big name in comics as far as art-wise. I was never a huge fan of his until Hush. That really kind of cinched me in, like, okay, Jim Lee is a great artist. I kind of dig this. So I picked this up. I think we both like to check out a Superman book. Yeah. It's a $4.99 book, and it's got like a shiny cover, a thick cover, shiny cover. But the real, it's like slick, glossy type cover. I guess the reason it's $4.99 is it has one of the dumbest gimmicks I have ever seen in a comic book. I'll do it. It's got this fold-out page inside of it that they said, oh, you can pull it out and make it a poster. But that's silly.
It's part of the comic.
Part of the comic.
You can't just do that. You'll be missing.
You'll lose a page of the comic. 2 pages of the comic. So it's got this this white insert page stuck in the back here that comes around to the front here. That's like a little piece, and then it's got these gluey things inside here, and so they're like glued together. And you pull it apart, and then you have to open it up and go like this to read your page, and then turn your page to read your page, the other page. And then you have to fold it back up, put it away, and to read the rest of the book. And I guess you're supposed to take that out and hang it on your wall, which is the lamest, weirdest thing I've ever heard.
No.
And it's not even worthy of being a giant panel. It's one shot of an alien spacecraft, or spacecraft, and one shot of Superman punching stuff. That could have been 2 panels.
They're being so cheap. Make a real poster.
Just make a poster insert. If you want to make a poster insert, don't make them part of the book.
Yeah.
That's lame. Okay, so this book, it starts off with a flashback to Nagasaki in 1945, and dropping this bomb that isn't really a bomb at all. It's like a Superman type of thing. And then it cuts to current day, and Superman's trying to save all these things that are falling from the sky, and he does that, and he finds out from Jimmy or from Lois, I guess, that there was another one that he missed. He goes to investigate it, and the government's somehow involved. So he's gonna have to find out who that is. I preferred this to the Batman book.
That's what I was about to. I like the him and Jimmy Olsen kind of bond type thing.
I like them talking. Yeah, I liked that. He doesn't work at the planet. He works at some other place.
Right.
And I guess that was in the regular Superman 52 books. I didn't like the sequence with Lois where she's got like the hologram things that from like a movie or something. That was so lame.
I know.
It's like throwing in future technologies to make it seem like a futuristic book is weird. And then this too has a backup story that involves Perry and these binoculars, and then this thing they pick up on a fishing boat, and that was just weird. Like a 2-page weird story that
really
didn't make any sense. You didn't miss anything. And then the last thing is 5.2 questions with Scott Snyder and Jim Lee, the little interview thing at the end. I didn't bother with that. This one I'll probably pick up again. I'm not a huge fan. This one, it doesn't feel like there was as much differences here as there was in the Batman book from what I'm used to with Superman versus what I'm used to with Batman. So I'll give this one another shot. I like the Jim Lee art a lot. The gimmick is one of the dumbest things, without a doubt, the dumbest gimmick I've ever seen in a comic book. Not worth $5 to throw in that extra page. Come on, guys. All right, so that was those, and then the last book of that week was they won't do it again. So what did you think of that book? You like that one?
It was better than the Batman.
Yeah.
I think it's all right.
Yeah, I mean it was okay for first issue. You know,
there's some pretty good parts.
You can drop the Batman and get Batman Superman and keep getting that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop the Batman. Keep getting Superman for a while. Get Batman and Superman.
Okay, we'll do that.
Okay.
Batman Superman comes out next week. So, the last book of last week, the June 12th releases that we picked up, was Thor: God Bomb Part 3. Blaze is 3 issues behind on God Bomb.
Didn't you say I wasn't allowed to read this one?
No, it wasn't this one. It was God Bomb Part 1 had like a beginning sequence that was a little, I think, inappropriate for your age group.
You bought that one for me. It's in my box.
Yeah, so I don't know for sure. Well, maybe look at that one again.
Well, what about that like tape thing that you got? That black tape thing?
Yeah, I could do that. I could tape it over. I don't know, but it was more of the drawing that may have been a little bit of a smidge on the adult side. It was something I wish they wouldn't have included in that issue because it was just like thrown in there, and I'm like, man, as I read it, I was like, I don't know for sure if this is great for your age group or not. I don't know. I'll have to think about it some more. But this continues the whole God Bomb storyline off the God Killer storyline. The 3 Thors have come together. I'm not really spoiling too much by telling you this because you see the cover. The 3 Thors have come together, and they're fighting the God Killer in this issue. It's basically just a big, giant fight where the 3 of them are fighting him. The art, as usual, is amazing. The Esad Ribic art just does not stop being awesome.
I love the Tony Stark and stuff.
Oh, that's an ad. That's an ad.
Oh.
But just the usual greatness of this art. They're in this giant flying ship. There's these great full-page, like this 2-page spread.
That is
awesome looking.
I know.
I just love this art. And as you can see, Thor is one of the books that we've stuck with picking it up. But I gotta say, as much as I love the art, as much as I'm still digging this book, the God Killer storyline has gone on, I think, a little too long now. We're on issue 9, and it's still going. It's kind of maybe time to wrap this one up.
What?
The God Killer storyline.
Yeah. I
It's
think
been
I'm
going
gonna
since
drop
issue 1.
out till the God thing.
Then pick it back up once the God Killer's over?
I wouldn't mind a Marvel Universe God Killer toy, though.
That would be cool.
I wouldn't mind it.
That would be cool. So out of that week, what was your pick? Oh, you only had Superman and Batman, so I guess Superman would be your pick.
Yeah.
I would agree that Well, I don't know. Shadow was really fun. I really like Shadow a lot. That Jim Lee art's great, though. I don't know. It was between Superman and Shadow for me. And then last week, the only book we got, amongst all the stuff we're still picking up, was Age of Ultron Book 10, which we finished off.
Which I'm like 5 or 6.
You're 5 or 6 behind.
Yeah.
Talk about a book that started off really strong and ended with a whimper. It is this book.
It's not that good anymore?
I gotta warn you, man. I mean, you're still gonna read it because it's, I mean, you know, it's worth reading and checking out. But it started off as a great alternate universe storyline that was like, wow, where's this gonna go? And I don't even care if this is not related to the regular universe. Look what's happening. And then it devolved into this whole, like, Wolverine going back in time and changing things, and then coming back to the regular time, and everything was different and worse. So he went back again to change things, and then everything was different. And it was like, then he was going to change something. And it's just like, dude, time doesn't work like that. You can't just keep going back. And he was running into his past self.
Is that why that cover over there?
Yeah, where they're fighting each other? Yeah. And this issue just kind of felt like just like a bleh.
The first 2 issues
it just
were
ended.
amazing.
Yeah, the first few issues I really enjoyed. It was a great crossover for a while there. Great alternate universe tale. And then these last few, it just felt like filler. I mean, the art team wasn't even the same. I think they put Pacheco on the book instead of, I think it was Brian Hitch that started it off, if I remember right.
His art was great.
And so, yeah, it just kind of is feeling like filler. Like, this issue's got, who's doing the art on this one? Alex Malev, Brian Hitch, Butch Guys. It's got just a bunch of guys instead of just Brian Hitch, which I would have loved if the series was only like 6 issues and had Brian Hitch the whole time. Yeah. Instead of all this weird alternate timeline stuff that was going on as they changed and changed and changed.
I'm gonna, but I don't want to keep getting it if it's gonna be like.
Oh, it's over. This is it.
Oh, good.
This is the final issue.
It is?
Yeah, so you'll have them all to read.
Cool.
It was a mini-series. They're gonna, Age of Ultron AI starts after this.
What's AI?
It's like a spin-off series that is gonna happen thanks to the... So they basically like broke time in this, and things are gonna change. And it felt like it was all leading up to the introduction of this character at the end, which I'm not gonna spoil, but it has been talked about online for months, so it was pretty much spoiled anyway. But they still shipped this in this like black protective bag, so you couldn't look at the book in the store. And I kind of hate it when books do that. Because you can't like even give it you just have to go in blind and just hope it's going to be a good book. And in my opinion, this wasn't a good book. And at $3.99 when you're blindly gambling, that's just not cool, you know? So Age of Ultron at the end, not so good. Kind of glad you're over. So that's it.
Did they still keep a good Spider-Man though?
Spider-Man just kind of stops being there after a while. It's like all that stuff you cared about in those first few issues just kind of goes away, and it becomes a Wolverine going through time with the Invisible Woman and changing things, and coming back to the current time, and things are worse, so we're going to go back again. It just stops being anything about Ultron.
Call it the age of going back in time.
Yeah, it just, bleh. It's Back to the Future, but not good. So that was it. So that is it for this time around. Yep. Next week, you definitely have Superman Batman we're both going to pick up. I don't know what else past that. It might be a Captain America week. Captain America's one of the books we've stuck with.
Still need to catch up on?
Yeah, you need to catch up on that bad. That actually is a really good book. That's probably still my top Marvel book.
But when it first started, Thor was your favorite.
Thor's my favorite, but now that God Killer storyline's kind of felt like it's going on maybe a little too long, I'm more interested in what's going on with Cap. That is one thing I want to bring up. This Age of Ultron thing, since they're kind of breaking time almost in this miniseries, maybe that's how they're going to resolve sort of this Captain America thing and this Thor thing. You know, since Captain America's lost 11 years or whatever, and now you have 3 Thors all in the same time period. The time thing's all messed up, so maybe they're going to use this Age of Ultron thing to fix it. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe. I'm not a big fan of that either, but maybe that's what they're going to go with.
Yeah.
Who knows? But that's it for this time around. We'll see you guys hopefully again next weekend. If we can manage to read our books and stick with it, we'll see how it goes. So we're going to do some toy reviews and we're going to take off. See you guys.